I did the one thing every financial expert is going to tell you to never do. In 2 years, I drained my 401k account to zero. I took out $47,000 in total. And in the finance world, that's a cardinal sin. But I wasn't gambling, I was calculating. And today I'm going to show you the math of why that was the best financial decision that I have ever made in my entire life. For years, over 11 years actually, I was a flight attendant and I was doing everything that you're supposed to do. I was contributing to my 401k enough to get my company match. I was trying to save. But my last full year as a flight attendant, my W 2 showed that I made $23,861. People have this idea that life as a flight attendant is glamorous and lucrative, and it really is nothing of the sort. $23,861 a year is not a lot of room to build a life, let alone retirement. I wasn't just low on cash, I was low on earning potential. I was stuck in a low wage loop, and saving my way out of it was going to take decades that I didn't have. Let's be real. Saving for retirement on $23,000 a year is a slow crawl to nowhere. Somewhere during that 11 years as a flight attendant, I decided to go to dental hygiene school. But dental hygiene school is not free and neither is life. Full disclosure, while I was working at UPS, they had tuition reimbursement, so they paid for my school. So school kind of was free, but life still wasn't. And working a couple hours a night, a few nights a week, is not going to cover all my expenses, even if I am making $20+ an hour. So in year one of dental hygiene school, I took a $15,410 disbursement from my 401k. In year two, I took out another $32,214. And what I did was I used that money for survival so I could focus on what really mattered at that time, which was my ability to earn in the future. And school was a grind. If you've been here, you know I vlogged a lot of it. You can go check out the videos, whether it was my car breaking down when I'm on the way to school, whether it was me being on the bus stop at 5 a.m. because my car had broken down and clinic started at 7:20 and I had to be there and I couldn't afford a lift. You know, there were times when I cried because I thought my dream was over. Like I thought there was no way for it to work and I knew it needed to work. There were times when I earned $9,000 all year and I had to make it work with that $9,000 and the money that I took out from my 401k. But throughout it all, I never gave up. And I think that's exactly why I am where I am today, is because I never gave up. I never gave up when I applied the first time to dental hygiene school and didn't get in, the second time, the third time. The fourth time I applied, I finally got in. And that's only because I didn't give up. I think I remember once telling somebody that I applied 4 times and they were like, oh, I would have given up. And I mean, if I had given up, I would have never been where I was then and where I am now. And I still remember getting that acceptance letter. I just pulled up outside of my apartment and there was that guy on the curb smoking who was always out there. And I turn off my ignition, I unplug my phone to go in and I see there's an email and I see the title, Official Dental Hygiene Decision Notification. And I just knew. I knew the same way that I knew when I got that thin letter in the mail previous years, I knew that I had gotten rejected. I knew that this time it was different. I knew it. And when I opened that email and I read those words, I just started crying. I started crying uncontrollably because I knew my life changed. I knew that from then on, things were going to be different. And I started crying and I just couldn't stop and I really didn't care. And the guy who was outside, he like scurried inside. I'm sure he was thinking, what the hell is going on over there? I don't want any part of it. But it was, I can't even describe the way I felt when I got that email. All I can tell you is like, I knew my life had changed. In that moment, it had changed. Coincidentally, that was like 3 years ago, almost to the day. But before that day, before I had gotten that email, I was constantly searching. I was searching YouTube for vlogs or any videos about anybody who'd done the dental hygiene program. I was going on the Normandale Community College website and looking at the schedules and seeing what my life was going to be like when I was a dental hygiene student. What classes would I be taking on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday? What would my weeks look like? I also used an app called On DM. I went on their website and I looked at the dental hygiene jobs that were being posted, because they were the only website that would allow you to see the actual hourly rate of what people were being paid. I knew that what I was seeing, I knew the demand wasn't going anywhere. So I knew that I could count on at least what that site was telling me I would be getting paid per hour. So when I got that acceptance letter and I had to start making hard decisions, I knew that I wasn't gambling. I wasn't betting on myself. It was a sure thing. I was investing in myself. There's a difference between betting, where sometimes you win, sometimes the house wins, and investing. The stock market is pretty much a sure thing. You don't lose money if you invest smartly in the stock market. I invested smartly in myself. This wasn't a bet on myself at all. It was a market research pivot. And after those 2 years were up and it was all said and done, and I graduated and I passed my boards and I waited and waited for my license, I finally got licensed on July 10th. And I hit the ground running. 6 days later, July 16th, I was working. I worked my first shift. I made $72 an hour and I got a $50 bonus. And it was amazing. It felt amazing that first day. I still remember that first day. I remember going to the office. I remember working. I remember the mistakes I made. It was surreal that it was finally here. I was finally on the apps, using the app, clocking in, making the money. I was making the wage, the hourly rate that I saw that was just a dream for so many years. And since that day, working as a temp dental hygienist, I make anywhere from $60 an hour on the low end to $82 on the high end. And in 2025, I finished off the year making almost $41,000 in 5.5 months. That's with going on multiple vacations to visit my friends and family, something that I hadn't been able to do when I was a flight attendant making $23,000 a year, all because I took a chance and spent my retirement investing in myself. I mean, compare that to $23,000 a year as a flight attendant. I made almost double my whole annual wage in less than half a year. By spending my retirement, I quadrupled my income. I can now replace that $47,000 in a fraction of the time that it took me to save it the first time around. So the advice you're gonna get from most people is to never touch your 401k because of the compounding interest. You're losing out on that compounding interest because you took your money out of the market. But what they forget to calculate is the compounding poverty of working in a low wage career. We're taught to hoard money in accounts that we can't touch until we turn 65, but we aren't taught how to buy our own freedom. Draining my 401k bought me a career that gives me control. And if you're tired of that standard financial advice that keeps you stuck, hit subscribe. I'm documenting here how I'm rebuilding my own wealth, starting from zero and on my own terms. Because now that I have the income, I'm making another huge change that most people would think is insane.